Okay, and I'm going to hammer home how deep this trauma bonding is. When you have been that badly abused for so long by your caretaker, the person who's supposed to protect you, the one you think, loves you, when you do start to come to the realization of the immense amount of abuse that you had suffered, you are in denial. You do not want to face it. My daughter is a perfect example of this. A real life example right now, living the trauma bond. As you guys know, I tried, she was living with me for a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, on and off. She was in and out of my house. But she could not get away from her mother. She had to get back under her mother. My ex-wife abused her so unbelievably bad. Like I said, I don't know if she'll ever tell her story. I don't know. I hope she does, for her sake. But when I was getting my daughter back then, and she was sort of moving in and sort of not and all that, my ex-wife was spreading all these rumors to her whole family, to my son, to me, to everybody about my daughter, saying that she's nasty, disgusting, lazy, a liar, manipulator, abuser, drug addict, all of these things. Little did I know, or we know at that time, that my daughter had overdosed a few different times, supposedly. She had almost died. This was just recently. My daughter had been cutting herself. Instead of her mom showing her any kind of empathy or understanding or trying to get to the root of what was going on, my ex-wife immediately was going out and smearing her name in the dirt and creating a backstory, just like my mom did. Guys, are you seeing what I'm trying to put down here? I'm trying to show you these patterns of abuse and what these narcissists do. They will crush you. My ex-wife was going around while my daughter was in immense pain, overdosing on drugs. And my ex-wife was telling everybody how extremely bad and how evil my daughter was. When all my daughter's the sweetest little quietest thing. She was in extreme pain. She still is in extreme pain. My wife would have loved for her to have died, and my ex-wife's secrets died with her. Because as long as my daughter's still alive, my ex-wife has a chance of being exposed for the fucking nasty, disgusting, abusive piece of shit she is. And that's dangerous to her. Because my ex-wife has built a whole world up around her lies and her ego. She's just like my mom. They worked hand in hand in the abuse of both my son and my daughter. They are disgusting, nasty, manipulative liars. They will do anything to ensure that their fantasies are upheld and that people do not question the abuse. My daughter came over the other day. She was high off drugs. So my daughter's working. She goes, she gets her money and and obviously what she does with it is what she's doing with it. She's stealing money from her sister. She's doing what she can to survive. She's in survival mode. She's feral. Just like me. Go back and watch my videos, my past few videos. You'll understand what I'm talking about. My daughter is feral. She cannot hold a conversation. She will not talk about her abuse. She does not want to talk about any kind of anything that has to do with healing. She's scared to death of it because her mom is keeping her trauma bonded. That's how deep and how nasty and how disgusting these trauma bonds are. My daughter knows she has a safe space over here. She knows her cousin's here now. She knows we're all healing. But she cannot give up. See, what my ex-wife did to my daughter was the brainwashing, type of brainwashing and abuse she put her under. She would reward her with tons of dopamine hits. So she would place all the abuse on her, but then turn around and give her access to all, like drinking and, you know, partying and enjoying all these foods and, you know, to take her mind off of the abuse. So it, you know, I don't know how else to describe somebody who is just outright abusing somebody, but giving them treats to make them stick around. It's disgusting. It's like you would treat an abused dog, I guess. But again, these women will allow her to die and never ever give any credence to her story or her abuse or the truth. They will allow her to die and do everything they can to uphold their fantasies. My daughter has cut marks all down her arms. It took her 2 days to detox off the drugs she was on when she came down here. When she finally detoxed, she was so wore out, she slept, you know, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And then before she left, I was like, honey, you look like you're well rested, you know? And when I hug my daughter, you know, I hug her like it's the last time I'm ever going to see her again. Because it might be. My ex-wife is playing around with my daughter's life. And I had texted my ex-wife last week, and I told her if my daughter dies, you know, her death will be, I will make sure you are held responsible for her death. She didn't like that. She got her ex-husband, the crackhead, to get a hold of me, and you want to talk to my wife like that? You talk to me like that, man. Fuck you, you punk ass bitch. That's exactly what I told them too, because they're a bunch of punk ass bitches living in their fantasy lands with their drugs while their fucking children are dying in front of them and they don't give a fuck. These are nasty abusers, guys. These are nasty, manipulative, selfish, narcissistic abusers. They are poisoning their children on purpose in order so that way their children fit into their narratives that they create for their own egos. I'm calling it all out, guys. You don't understand. You need to get your heads out of your asses. You need to quit going along to get along. You need to quit playing these games. You need to quit feeding into these abusive systems. You need to quit playing in these illusions. You need to quit thinking that these things don't matter, that they're not a big deal. This is all that matters. Humanity is all that matters. Your humanity and how you treat and are treated by other people is all that matters. Period. Everything else is superfluous. It was meant to put there to confuse and obfuscate. They are keeping you so fucking busy so you cannot ever have the courage or the balls to face your shit. and fix shit. Because they know the most powerful thing in the world is an individual who takes it upon themselves to heal. That is the most powerful thing in the world, period. And they're deathly afraid of that. That's why they keep us, that's why they expend everything they can to give us every distraction in the world to keep us from facing our shit and healing ourselves. That's why the whole thought process of, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it, it's just the way it is. That's why that is so powerful. Because they know every time you think that, which is for some people maybe multiple times a day. Some people maybe that thought only crosses their mind once a year. But either way, every time you think that, you are reinstituting and re-signing yourself up for your fucking slavery. You can take your power back. I do not consent. I do not comply. I refuse to play these games. I will seek the truth. I will only speak the truth. I will only think the truth. I will only deal with the facts and the reality that is in front of me. I will only deal with my own experience. And see, they'll make you seem like a selfish, crazy son of a bitch for thinking, oh, well, you're only thinking about yourself. You're goddamn right. Because until you learn how to love yourself, until you heal and learn how to love yourself, you cannot love anybody else. In fact, when you tell somebody else you love them, you are causing so much harm, you won't even realize it until you start healing how much harm you're causing by telling people that you love them from your ego. You are perpetuating the abuse in these abusive, toxic systems. You are poisoning the pool. You are poisoning your family genes. You are poisoning your livelihoods. And you're doing it on purpose, and you're doing it of your own consent. Because instead of using your faculty of reason and going, shit's fucked up, well, what can I do about it? And then going from there and acting accordingly and being the powerful person you are. You guys are a slave. You guys are a consumerist pig slave. Completely mind controlled. The fact that you guys know shit's fucked up and you refuse to do anything or think any deeper than that or go any further than that and go jump right back into your shit just shows how fucking mind controlled you are. You are enslaved and you're doing it to yourself. These abusers will never stop abusing. You must take your power back. You must speak your truth. You must let people know that shit is fucked up and you're not going to deal with it anymore. You're not putting up with it. You're not playing the games. You need to put your foot down. Until you do, nothing will change. Maybe these people will not change. Most likely, from what it sounds like, they never will. They'll go to their graves with their lies and their manipulations and their illusions. But that's fine. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about me. It's about each one of us individually healing and doing what we're supposed to do. No excuses. My poor daughter is so trauma bonded, and I know exactly where she's coming from because I went through 20 adult years of being trauma bonded to my mom. Going back to her and apologizing after being so badly beaten. And guys, the physical beatings I took, that was nothing. That's just something that I can show that, hey, look, this was physically happening. The whole mental and spiritual and emotional and psychological aspect of this abuse is really the fucked up part about it. Because that's the part that keeps you enslaved. That's the hardest part to address. My mom, I don't care. I've been beat so many fucking times in my life. That's why I didn't mind, that's why I would get in fights. You get used to it. You want to be abused. You want to be physically abused because it feels good. Because that's all you know. It's the emotional, psychological, spiritual trauma and religious trauma that these